Steven Spielberg in Universal Studios Negotiation Research by Francis Horton for Full Sail University. In this negotiation, we're going to talk about Steven Spielberg versus Universal Studios. In 1987, Steven Spielberg signed a deal to become a consultant for Universal Studios. Now, as of June 2010, this deal will be officially over, and Steven Spielberg will have the opportunity to buy himself or to be bought out of his contract for $250 million. This negotiation is to try to defuse that situation. Universal Studios has called Steven Spielberg in with his advisor, as well as a group of their attorneys, to go ahead and talk over possible deals. Here are their positions. Universal Studio can't afford to lose money, but they also need the deal to end quickly. Steven Spielberg doesn't want to necessarily stay with Universal because a deal went south with DreamWorks earlier that year, with Universal as well. So there's a lot of conflicts of interest here. Universal really needs to keep Steven Spielberg at this time, and Steven Spielberg needs to possibly stay with Universal Studios at this time. The position that Universal Studios is taking is that by giving up this contract or by buying him out, they will lose more than they will gain. Their interests are quite simple. Spielberg, fortunately, wants the freedom to be able to create, and he wants to be able to make more money. Universal, however, needs to do a corporate debt restructuring, and they also need to be able to save money, because as of April of 2010, they're going into a big deal where they're going into a lot of debt. They will need to pay off creditors and bankers. But if they allow Spielberg to be bought out of his contract, then unfortunately they will have to pay him first. And this is not a good look for the bankers, because if they're not able to receive their money, they're not going to want to lend, and they're not going to want to invest in Universal Studios anymore. So their interest is quite clear: to keep Spielberg for as long as they can, to help keep them from losing more money. So right now they're going with their own mutual interests. It's really a win-win situation for both of them with this agreement, because by doing this negotiation and separating the people from the problem as they've done, they separated the fact that Spielberg was angry about the DreamWorks deal going south, although he did use dirty tricks and tried to hold the deal off longer. It was a mutual interest for both of them because they both gained. Universal Studios is able to keep their company afloat and not fall totally head over heels in debt, while at the same time Spielberg is able to not have creative interest in the company and be able to make more money than what he was making in the initial first deal. So this is a total benefit for both parties. By separating the people from the problem, they gave an added benefit, because maybe somewhere down the road it would be room for a more heightened relationship. What went well? What went well in this negotiation was that they were able to actually negotiate. They were able to sit down, even though there had been disagreements about the DreamWorks deal and that went south. They were able to sit down and come to terms. But what went wrong was that Universal Studios really wasn't able to get their point across. They weren't really able to show how important Steven Spielberg actually was to them and to their company. An agreement was made, however, and that agreement was that Steven Spielberg will remain an exclusive consultant for Universal Studios. He will not be allowed to consult for any other company until after 2017. His vested interest went up, where he would now receive 5.2% of all earnings instead of the 5%. And he will still remain at 2% perpetuity for all ticket sales, which means forever he will get the 2% for the ticket sales. Last year alone, just off of Universal Orlando, Steven Spielberg made $35 million. Doing this deal, he actually came out better than if he had decided to go ahead and do the put in his contract or buyout option of his contract. By taking the time out to negotiate with Universal Studios and being open-minded, Spielberg benefited greatly. He benefited far more than anyone else did with this deal. And this is why I think that this is one of the greatest deals that have been made for a company. Thank you.